Peace and love, what's up? Welcome back. We're here at the lake today. Beautiful morning. So right now, more than ever, we see abuse being exposed. Abuse from all sections of society. It seems like whether it's Michael Jackson, Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and the list goes on. And for those of us who came out of the church or the Kingdom Hall or religious settings, you know that the abuse that's gone on and been hidden so carefully and so well for so long in these communities is finally coming to light. So I want to talk about this. I believe that when you look at the abuse that's being exposed right now, it lends itself to a conflict that's going on, a generational conflict. I saw an article in a newspaper that we have here in Vancouver called the Georgia Straight. And the article was about a lady who had been abused when she was a child, and her mother had been abused by this person, by her grandfather, and their aunts had been abused. Everybody in the family had been abused. So now this lady's mother is at an age of moving into an old folks home. And so this girl finds some pictures, compromising pictures, of some of the abuse that her mother had endured at the hands of this grandfather. But what these pictures showed was that this abuse was much more accepted than she had thought. She had thought that this was something that was covered up and hidden. And not only was it covered up and hidden, but it was covered up and hidden in a way that protected the abuser. And so when I talk about a generational conflict that we're having right now, I look at the generation of the baby boomers. I mean, I'm 29 years old, almost 30, and the generation that came before us, typically we call them the baby boomer generation. That generation, I feel, has adopted the technique, or has learned or taught the technique of denial when it comes to dealing with a great many problems, and particularly child abuse. And when I looked at this story I saw this morning of this girl who had been abused, I realized just how deep that denial goes. For me, in my family, there's been abuses that have taken place. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the same thing, that same technique of denial was what everybody falls back upon and still does. Things are swept under the rug. The truth is buried. Now, as I said before, one of the biggest places that we're seeing all this abuse come out is the churches or the Kingdom Halls. So for those of us who grew up religious, that may be one of the main things that's turned you off from these institutions, is the way that abuse is covered up. For me, when I was growing up as a witness, I definitely noticed that this is the go-to method of solving problems, is hiding them, burying them. So here's the problem. This directly causes a generational conflict, because our generation, there's no secrets. You're constantly on camera. What's done in the darkness will be brought to the light, no matter who you are. We're in a day and age. We're seeing this now with this college scandal going on, all these cheaters being caught. We see it with everything in our lives. You can't get away with things anymore. And so whether you like it or not, the truth has to come out. And so this is the conflict that we're seeing with this generation, who was able to just hide things instead of having to deal with them. That was the way that problems are solved. We can't do that anymore. So I'm talking about this because I think that, you know, as we go through these different cases of abuse coming out, many of the cases of abuse that are going to come out are not just going to be public figures. This is happening on a private level too. It's happening on a very personal level for a lot of people. And so, as I always say, the only way you can come up with solutions is by talking about the problem. And when we look at the generation that came before us, those of us who are, say, from 25 to 35, we we have a responsibility. We've taken the reins now in this world, and we have a responsibility to change maybe the way that our parents used to deal with things. Our parents are their generation that maybe like to ignore problems or pretend like they're not happening. Our generation needs to say no. That's not okay, and that's not the way that we're going to ever solve anything. So this is what it is. We're down here at the lake. These are my thoughts this morning. I hope that this can help push forward the conversation about abuse, to help people take a deeper look at their own families, their own situations, and maybe we can induce some more honesty into the whole situation. So until next time, this is what it is. This is Drinking Gourd. Like, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.